What if the biggest threat to Victor Newman isn't an enemy from the outside, but someone standing right inside his family circle? Lately, Kyle Abbott has been acting differently, more focused, more determined, almost consumed. And some fans believe he's heading down a path no one can stop. But they have no idea how dangerous it could become. For years, Kyle has fought to prove himself. He's battled expectations, family pressure, and endless rivalries. Yet no matter how hard he pushed, one shadow always seemed larger than life: Victor Newman. The man who controls empires, destroys enemies, and rarely loses. Was Kyle simply impressed by Victor? Or becoming obsessed with him? The answer may be unsettling. At first, the signs were easy to ignore. Kyle studied Victor's decisions. He watched how Victor handled betrayal. He paid attention to every strategic move. Some called it ambition. Others called it learning from the best. But when admiration starts replacing judgment, something darker can emerge. And that's exactly what may be happening. Kyle's recent choices have left people questioning his motives. Why does he seem increasingly willing to sacrifice relationships for power? Why are his priorities shifting? Even those closest to him appear unsure of what he's becoming. And if you've been noticing these clues too, make sure to like, subscribe, and share, because the next twist changes everything. Here's where things get interesting. Victor never openly invites people into his inner circle. Trust is a rare currency in his world. Yet Kyle appears desperate to earn Victor's respect. Not just approval, respect. And that distinction could reveal far more about Kyle's true intentions than anyone realizes. But another secret was already brewing. Imagine spending years trying to escape someone's influence, only to become exactly like them. That's the fear growing among those who know Kyle best. Every calculated move feels less like Kyle Abbott and more like a younger version of Victor Newman. Was this evolution or transformation? Nobody wanted to ask that question aloud. Then came the first shocking twist. What if Kyle no longer wants Victor's approval at all? What if he wants Victor's throne? Suddenly, every conversation, every alliance, and every risk begins looking different. This might not be a student seeking a mentor. It could be a challenger preparing for war. And that possibility terrified everyone. The strange part is that Victor may not even see the danger. He's spent decades identifying threats before they strike. Yet Kyle operates in a unique position, close enough to observe, but distant enough to hide his true ambitions. Could the great Victor Newman be missing the threat right in front of him? That's when another clue surfaced. Whispers began spreading through Genoa City. Kyle seemed unusually interested in information. Sensitive information, business secrets, personal vulnerabilities. Pieces of a puzzle that only become valuable when someone is planning a major move. Was this preparation for success, or preparation for betrayal? The distinction suddenly mattered more than ever. Meanwhile, family tensions continued rising. Jack Abbott noticed changes. Diane sensed something felt off. Conversations became shorter. Reactions became colder. It was as if Kyle was carrying a secret agenda he couldn't share. And every attempt to reach him seemed to push him further away. But they still hadn't uncovered the real problem. The second major twist arrived unexpectedly. What if Kyle isn't trying to defeat Victor? What if he's trying to become him completely? That idea sounds impossible, until you examine the evidence. Victor built power through control, leverage, and fear. Kyle's recent behavior suggests he may be learning those same lessons. And that realization sent chills through everyone. Power can change people. History proves it. The more influence someone gains, the easier it becomes to justify questionable decisions. Kyle may believe every move serves a greater purpose. Every sacrifice may seem necessary. But where does that road end? Nobody knew. And that uncertainty became increasingly alarming. Then a mysterious opportunity appeared. A chance for Kyle to gain unprecedented leverage. The kind of leverage capable of reshaping relationships across Genoa City overnight. Most people would hesitate before using it. Kyle, however, might be reaching a point where hesitation no longer exists. And that's when the stakes exploded. Friends became potential obstacles. Allies became potential liabilities. Once someone starts viewing people as pieces on a chessboard, emotional connections lose value. Kyle's world seemed to be shifting toward that dangerous mindset. Who could he really trust? More importantly, who could still trust him? The answers were growing darker by the day. Victor built his empire by staying 10 moves ahead. Yet Kyle may have discovered something equally powerful. Predictability. When you study someone long enough, you begin anticipating their reactions. Their strengths become visible. So do their weaknesses. And Kyle has spent years watching Victor. But one revelation changed everything. The third major twist stunned everyone. Kyle may not be planning a direct attack at all. Instead, he could be preparing something far more devastating. A move designed to make Victor destroy himself. No confrontation. No public battle. Just carefully arranged circumstances. If true, it would be the most dangerous strategy yet. But there was still one final piece missing. As tensions reached a breaking point, warning signs appeared everywhere. Relationships fractured. Loyalties shifted. Secrets surfaced. The entire situation began feeling less like a business rivalry and more like an approaching disaster. Yet Kyle showed no signs of slowing down. In fact, he seemed more determined than ever. And that should worry everyone. Then came the moment nobody expected. Kyle appeared to realize how far he had drifted from the person he once was. For a brief second, doubt entered the picture. Was there still time to turn back? Could he stop before crossing a line that could never be uncrossed? The answer remained painfully unclear. But what if that moment of doubt was only an act? What if Kyle wanted everyone to believe he was reconsidering while secretly advancing his plan? Suddenly, every conversation carried hidden meaning. Every gesture looked suspicious. Every alliance felt temporary. And the truth behind his actions became more shocking than anyone imagined. The most explosive possibility is also the simplest. Kyle may believe he's the only person capable of outsmarting Victor Newman. Not because he's stronger, not because he's smarter, but because he understands Victor better than anyone else. If that belief takes hold completely, nothing may stop what comes next. And that's where the real danger begins. Now the question haunting Genoa City is impossible to ignore. Is Kyle Abbott on the verge of becoming Victor's greatest successor? Or Victor's most devastating mistake? One decision could change everything. One secret could ignite a war no one survives unchanged. And when the next move is finally revealed, will anyone be ready for the consequences? Or is the darkest chapter still ahead? The deeper Kyle digs into Victor's world, the more dangerous the game becomes. Every empire is built on secrets, and Victor's empire may contain enough secrets to destroy several lives. Kyle knows that. The question is whether he's searching for protection or ammunition, and one discovery could change everything overnight. Late-night meetings, unanswered phone calls, conversations that stop the moment someone enters the room. These are the signs people notice when trust begins to disappear. Around Kyle, those signs are multiplying fast. Was he protecting himself from unseen enemies? Or hiding a plan too shocking to reveal? The answer remained buried in darkness. Jack Abbott has always believed there is good in his son. Even when Kyle stumbled, Jack defended him. But fathers can miss what's happening right in front of them. Sometimes love creates blind spots. And if Jack is overlooking a critical warning sign, the consequences could be catastrophic. That's when an unexpected figure entered the picture. Someone from Victor's orbit may be paying closer attention than anyone realizes. While others focus on business battles and family drama, this person is quietly watching Kyle's every move, collecting details, connecting dots, building a picture nobody else can see. And what they uncover could trigger a chain reaction nobody can stop. Kyle has always wanted respect. But respect earned through patience is very different from respect gained through fear. Lately, His actions seem to suggest he's becoming comfortable with intimidation. Small moments, subtle pressures, tiny shifts in behavior. Alone, they mean little. Together, they tell a much darker story. But that story was about to take a terrifying turn. Then another possibility emerged. What if Kyle has already crossed a line? What if the decision everyone fears has already been made behind closed doors? Suddenly, the concern is no longer about what he might do next. It's about what he's already set into motion. And nobody would see the fallout coming. Victor Newman built his reputation by making impossible choices. He accepted consequences others were too afraid to face. Kyle seems fascinated by that approach. But there's a hidden danger in copying someone like Victor. You inherit their enemies along with their methods. And Kyle may be learning that lesson the hard way. Meanwhile, tensions between families continue rising. The Newmans and the Abbotts have survived countless wars. Yet this conflict feels different, more personal, more unpredictable. The old rules no longer seem to apply. And when old rules disappear, chaos often follows. But nobody expected the next twist. A rumor begins circulating through Genoa City. According to whispers, Kyle may possess information capable of exposing a powerful secret. The kind of secret people would do almost anything to protect. Most rumors fade quickly. This one refuses to die. And that alone makes it dangerous. Who could Kyle really trust now? His family has doubts. His allies have questions. Even those who support him seem nervous about his direction. Isolation can push people toward desperate decisions. And desperation often creates the exact disaster everyone fears. But Kyle may already have a backup plan. Imagine preparing for a battle while convincing everyone there will never be one. That strategy would allow Kyle to move unnoticed until the perfect moment. No alarms, no resistance, no chance for anyone to stop him. If that's what he's doing, Victor may be facing a threat unlike any he has encountered before. Then comes a chilling realization. Kyle isn't reacting anymore. He's anticipating. Every conversation feels calculated. Every response appears measured. Instead of responding to events, he seems to be shaping them. And when someone starts controlling the board itself, the game becomes far more dangerous. Diane begins noticing subtle changes in her son. Not dramatic changes. Quiet kind. The kind mothers notice before anyone else does. Colder stare. Longer pause. A willingness to keep secrets. These clues seem small until they form a pattern. And that pattern raised alarming questions. The biggest concern may not be Kyle's ambition. Ambition can be healthy. The real concern is what happens when ambition becomes identity. When winning matters more than relationships. When power becomes the goal instead of the tool. That transformation rarely ends well. But Kyle may be approaching that exact crossroads. Then an explosive possibility surfaces. What if Victor has known about Kyle's growing obsession all along? What if every interaction, every opportunity, and every lesson has been carefully allowed to happen? Suddenly, the hunter may not be the hunter at all. And that changes everything. Victor has spent decades surviving betrayals. He expects attacks. He anticipates schemes. Perhaps he recognized Kyle's ambitions long before anyone else. If so, Kyle could be walking directly into a trap designed specifically for him. But there's one problem with that theory. Kyle may have learned too much. Even Victor can't completely predict someone who has spent years studying him. The student understands the teacher's habits. The challenger understands the champion's weaknesses. And that knowledge could make Kyle more dangerous than Victor realizes. That's when the pressure reaches its peak. The walls are closing in. Secrets are colliding. Loyalties are being tested from every direction. Nobody knows which side will strike first. One mistake could expose everything. One conversation could ignite a war across Genoa City. And the countdown may have already begun. As the storm grows closer, one haunting question remains. Is Kyle Abbott becoming the next Victor Newman? Or something even more dangerous? 'Cause if his